Shalom. 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 I'd like to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing and safety to all the Akim of their pushing truth throughout the four corners of the earth. To the elect, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. To the sincere believers and sincere Akwath, Shalom unto you. This is the brother Habadia from the GMS Toronto camp coming back at you with another one. It's just a little quick news update. This one is dated March 17th, so that was yesterday. U.S. counterterrorism chief resigns in protests over Iran war. Washington has been dragged into another never-ending war by Israel and its powerful American lobby, Joe Kent has said. So Joe Kent, head of the U.S. National Counterterrorism Center, has resigned in protests over Washington's war with Iran, saying that Israel has dragged the U.S. into another never-ending conflict that does not serve American interests. A former military officer who has served in the CIA, Kent was nominated by the U.S. President Donald Trump for the position of counterterrorism chief in February 2025 and confirmed by the Senate in July of the same year. He completed 11 combat tours, mostly in Iraq, before leaving the military in 2018. It says, he quoted, "I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no immediate threat to our nation," Kent said in a resignation letter he posted on X on Tuesday. He also stated that it was clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. And, if you don't know by now, whatever, whatever Israel wants, America's got to back them up. They they gotta do what Israel says, and people are starting to take note of that, and to really realize that America has to do what those tiny tops what they want, whatever they say goes, and Israel's got to back them up, and the people are upset. You see there's a lot of videos on the TikTok and on the IG of people are not pleased with this war in Iran. Because the like it said, there's no threat. There's no threat to America. America just wanted to go in there and basically fuck shit up. So people ain't down with this war, and you're just seeing this is how we know that this is the end of Esau's rulership and the end of America. Babylon the Great. That this nation, this power, you know, this power is slowly is slowly crumbling. And it's crumbling from within. It's crumbling from within. People are not down with what Trump is doing. And like the scripture said, he's like a madman sparing none. That's exactly how Trump is moving. He has no regard for anything, for how what people what people have to say, what they think. This man doesn't care. Um, so just want to get this Matthew 12 and 25 in the NLT. Yahushua knew these thoughts and replied, "Any kingdom divided by civil war is doomed. A town, a family splintered by feuding will fall apart." So America is falling apart from within. You have certain Congress members and chief staff and other politicians. They're not pleased. They're not down with the way America has been moving. As of late, they've always been that bully, but these other nations are, they're getting sick and tired of the whore. You know, they're getting sick and tired of this whore, which is America. They're getting fed up. You know, and it's a nation that's divided. uh, Verse 16, and if Satan is casting out Satan, it is divided and fighting against himself, his own kingdom will not survive. Because there's so much conflict from within. No, not everyone is not on the same page. You know, there's the talk about this draft. The people are in an uproar. They're upset. There's protests going all around the world with this war in Iran. You know, it's not there's been protests, but it's it's the there's more involved, because now that America is over there bombing them up and Israel's bombing them up, it's it's more personal towards people. you know they're not happy. So America, that kingdom is crumbling from within. It's being divided. And then look at another article I seen. This man this man wants help. And these nations ain't willing to help him. Where is it? This one? Oh no, this one. They will do nothing for us, Trump on NATO. So he's mad. Israel, U.S. President Donald Trump has criticized other NATO nations' unwillingness to join the U.S.-Israeli military operation against Iran. Yeah, because no one wants any part of that. No one wants any part with what they're doing what they're doing over there in Iran. And Iran is they're giving it to Israel. There's videos out there of Tel Aviv and the destruction and the aftermath of the the bombs that they dropped over there. The airstrikes that they carried out. These other nations, they don't want no part. They don't want to have to take their they don't want to have to put their own troops out there. Not even the own American people want to go out there and put boots to the ground. U.S. President Donald Trump has criticized other NATO nations' unwillingness to join the U.S. Israeli military operation against Iran, calling the bloc a one-way street that America has never really needed. The remarks came a day after U.S. allies, including NATO members, ignored or rejected Trump's call to join the team effort to secure the Strait in Hormuz. And these they don't want to go over there. Like Iran's got that place sealed up. They got it on lock. So they what was I gonna say? They have it locked up. So these other nations, they don't want to they don't want to put themselves in harm's way. Let me read a little bit more. There are, well, let me get a scripture because this is what's popping right now. This is Revelation 17 and 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the horse. So NATO, these allies of America, you know, they're not down for the whore anymore. They're not down for America. They don't want to come to the aid, and a lot of it has to do with Israel. You know, yeah, yes, it has to do with America as well, because it's that great horror, but also these nations don't like Israel, and these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her with flesh and burn her with fire. Yeah, because this is gonna get destroyed by nuclear fire. Those ICBMs. Eventually it's gonna lead to the point where you're slowly starting to see that now, and it's ramping up. Where these where NATO and the allies of America, they're not quick to respond on the call of what America wants. Let me go back to the article. The remarks came a day after U.S. allies, including NATO members, did I read that up already? Ignored or rejected Trump's call to join the team's effort to secure the Strait of Hormuz, the key waterway which is used to transport 20% of the world's seaborne crude oil, has been effectively closed in the conflict. The president said he is not surprised by the allies' inaction. We will protect them, but they will do nothing for us. In particular, in the time of need, he wrote on the Truth Social on Tuesday. We want we went on to claim that the U.S. achieved major military success against Iran without any assist. We no longer need or desire the NATO countries' assistance. We never did. Yeah, so this devil's proud. You know, the whore is proud, saying he saying he doesn't need NATO. You know, and best believe the leaders of these other nations, in NATO are looking at America like, okay, you don't need us, okay, you you're gonna need us. You don't need us now, but you might need us later. And that's why, and like it says Revelation, that they're gonna shoot after the whore. You know, just in all everyone's gonna put their ICBM missiles. Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, Turkey, all these nations are gonna be fed up with America, and launch their missiles towards her. And that's prophecy. The Lord is putting it on these leaders of these other nations, that to be to that they're fed up with America. We never did, he wrote, adding that the U.S. does not need any help from other allies, including Japan, South Korea, and Australia. So best believe that the 10 horns, they're taking note of that. And that's why it makes sense that the 10 horns, they're gonna hate the whore. They're gonna hate her, and they're gonna make war with her, and play a part in the downfall of Babylon the Great, which is America. So this devil's through, man. This devil's through. This is Second Ezra chapter 9 and 1. He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then thou shalt understand that this is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Wherefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and upwards of the people in the world, and that you're seeing a lot of that right now. This war in Iran is causing a lot of uproar. It's causing a lot of tension. Between the small hats, um, the people over there in Israel. I mean, not the small hats and the people over there in Iran, and then even over here in America, in the North America. You know, mainly America, because people don't want to have to go to war for this. It's bullshit to them, and that's why many other brothers are saying, and like I've said that something has to happen on the shores of America. To get the people even riled up even more and want to stand with what Trump's doing, because right now nobody's down with it. You know, so you would, I'm just saying, you know, it makes sense that for some type of T attack to happen on America, just like 9/11, or if that's not the case, the draft, you know, where where they're just gonna have to start drafting people to go fight for their cause. Mhm. So yeah, it's just a little news update. Let me just read this. What does the Hormuz crisis reveals about American allies? The war launched by the United States and Israel against Iran has now entered its third week. So this man said he wanted to be done in, I believe it was 4 to 6 weeks. So now it's entered its third week. So I guess halfway, um, halfway through what they projected. So we'll see. And has already become one of the most significant geopolitical events of this decade. Yet the border consequences of its conflict, the Eurozone of international law of by a parliament member of the UN Security Council, growing rift between the U.S. and Western Europe, and this stabilization of the entire Middle East remains subject mainly for professional observers. Mm, so that's about it. You're seeing that right now with the gas prices, they're shooting up. And as the longer this goes, the longer this, conflict goes on, the prices, like gas is gonna go up and the prices of goods are gonna go up. So that's gonna do it for this little news update. I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakak, Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace, blessing, and safety to all the elect out there. I pray this lesson was edifying. Until the next one, Shalom.